Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Scott Allison. You're on Beyond 280. This is the show where we go beyond the 280 characters and get behind the Twitter avatars, get behind the actual 280 character limit that we're limited to on Twitter, unless of course you count, doing threads, but that's a whole different story. And we kind of talk about the topics of the day, the topics du jour, if you will. Sometimes I give my own spin on it. Sometimes I'm bringing on Twitter users to talk to them. Soon I'll be having panel discussions as well, where I'll bring on some opposing viewpoints and we'll talk about kind of what's hot, what's going on right now on Twitter. And there goes my camera again. I've got a capture card on the way, by the way, so hopefully that clears that up. Yeah, so let's get right into it. Before I do, just want to give a little bit of a shout out to the Creator Toolkit and the Creators Guild. This is the group that kind of got me interested in creating content, doing the stuff that I'm doing now, and really pushed me to do it. I mean, I was kind of leaning towards it, and I joined all these other groups and did all this research, and nothing really helped until I went through the Creator Toolkit and just started doing it. I just hit live, and you'll find that right there. It's absolutely free. I highly recommend if you're just new to creating content, or you want to create content, or you maybe just already create content, you just need to up your game a little bit. That's the place to go. And also, if you would, just take a moment to hit subscribe, and then don't forget to hit that bell button, because I will be going live off schedule sometimes. So yeah, pardon me, I've got a little bit of a frog in my throat this afternoon. And let's finish that with some water. Oh, I'm having lots of freezing issues today. Oh boy, my capture card's about to go out. Well, it's okay, I've got another one coming. So what are we talking about today? So you may have seen the thumbnail, and you may have seen the description to this video down below, and you'd be going, well, what the hell is this Beyond 280 crap talking about? By the way, it's me, Scott Allison, I'm talking about, not Beyond 280. Well, there was a tweet that came out, I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. From a person by the name of Sarah Kelly. So Sarah Kelly is apparently a writer, obviously a commentator. She has quite a large following. She has a blue check mark. She's a somebody, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that whole verification means that you're somebody or not, but apparently she's somebody. And I saw this tweet, and I couldn't help myself. So I have a personal account. I've got my regular account, which is Beyond_280. That's my, where I engage with you, and I, reach out to potential people where I'm going to interview and that sort of thing. But I also have my own personal account that I created several years back. Got my fair share of followers over there. But anyway, I was interacting with my account over there, and well, you know what? Let's just show you. So this is the tweet that I was talking about specifically. So I saw this morning, and I was like, what am I looking at? What I don't understand what I'm seeing here. So anti-fatness is a perpetuation and enforcement of white supremacist beauty standards. It's not harmless, and it didn't develop in a vacuum. So I'm perplexed by this, right? And yeah, so I really don't understand. Really don't understand why white supremacy is somehow related to being obese, or talking about obesity, because that's what she's really talking about here. Because she has other tweets on this subject later on down the road, as you'll see, but she's saying anti-fatness, which I think we're all anti-fatness. I think. I don't want to be fat, and I don't want my friends to be fat. I don't want you to be fat. I would rather you be, of a decent body weight. You don't have to be skinny or perfect, but, to where you're not unhealthy. That's kind of the way I think of it, as kind of like a health thing. But apparently, if you think that way, you're anti-fat. At least according to Sarah Kelly. And yeah, so I'm a little bit scratching my head about this one. So I did reply to it, and I'll tell you about my reply here in a minute. But one of my favorite sites, Twitchy, which is basically a Twitter aggregator, if you will. They put together kind of what I do, except they do it in the print form on a website. But they go out and they find some outrageous tweets, they find controversial tweets, that sort of thing, and they publish them and kind of give their own spin on it. So so I know I've talked with personally Sam Janney, who wrote this article, but oh honey, Blue Check claims anti-fatness is perpetuated by white supremacy and receives so much pushback. She deletes and locks, but we got it. So here's what she goes. She says, Sarah Kelly claimed that anti-fatness, and yeah, who knew that was really a thing? I didn't know that was a thing. Is a perpetuation of white supremacy. Don't make that face. We didn't write it. Apparently, if people think you're fat, that's white supremacy. Right. So so sadly, the pushback she received was so bad that she not only protected her tweet but deleted it. So there's the tweet right there, and then and she, Sam is very savvy with this stuff, and she put out. Luckily, we were able to snag it. And there's the tweet, and then there's more to this, and I wanted to kind of highlight this and kind of give my spin on it. But Sam actually says kind of some of the things I've been thinking. But when everything is fascist, racist, sexist, homophobic, Islamophobic, and white supremacy, then nothing is. We feel like we've been riding that line for about a decade now. I agree, Sam. And by the way, I got to get you on the show. I know we tried and we couldn't hook up, so. My schedule's wide open, so come on, let's get you on the show. But anyways, and it's like the social justice heartbeats just keep getting denser. Oh, that reminds me, since we're talking about all this stuff, there, that's a little bit better. Oh, that's funny. Go back to live mode. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit better. There we go. So I'm going to switch this back over to that page. So anyways, she also had tweets like this one. So this was kind of a continuation of what she tweeted, and this is the one that really pushed me over the edge. I was like, what? So Sarah Kelly says, whispers, complimenting people on their weight loss is inherently fat phobic. Okay. There's no way to do it that doesn't imply that their body was less worthy when it was bigger, softer. Find something else to compliment. Yeah, well, I mean, what do we say? What do we say about this? So let's actually break this down for a second. So what Sarah is basically saying is that if somebody loses weight, let's say like it was my mother. My mother has struggled with her weight at times. She just has. And when she loses weight, we tend to think of that as a good thing because she's older, and weight issues can cause all sorts of health problems. And so I would, I know she appreciates it when I see her and I say, "Hey, Mom, looks like you've lost some weight." She appreciates that. She loves it. My wife, the same thing. My wife has struggled with weight in the past, and she likes it. She likes to hear that, hey, you're looking good. Looks like you've lost some weight, because it's a sign of health when you are not overweight, right? It just is, because we know this to be medically a fact. We know this to be reality. So what's interesting about all this is the original tweet started out with a thing that Sarah Kelly tweeted out the title of a book, and she put next to it recommended reading. So let's take a gander, shall we? So at this IndieBound website, there was an author by the name of Sabrina Strings, Fearing the Black Body: The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia. I can't make this stuff up, folks. Somebody else has done it for me. So I have not read this book. It's apparently $28. Maybe maybe if somebody wants to gift it to me, you can reach me at scott@beyond280.net. But I'm gonna read kind of the synopsis here. But Fearing the Black Body: The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia by Sabrina Strings. So it's been out for a little over 2 years now. It's won some awards here. So it's a winner of the 2020 Body and Embodiment Best Publication Award given by the American Sociological Association. Of course it is. Honorable mention 2020 Sociology of Sex and Gender Distinguished Book Award given by the American Sociological Association. Oh, that's interesting. Same association. How the Female Body Has Been Racialized for Over 200 Years. So, if you catch one of my earlier videos, you'll see that I did a video about critical race theory. Specifically what it is and why it's bad and why it's a trap, and why it's not really based on anything, except for they have some tenets that they follow, but there's nothing factual, nothing you can prove in any of it. I'm not going to go into it that far, but one of the things that critical race theory says is that race doesn't exist. That race does not really exist. It's a cultural phenomenon, basically. It's not real. But yet, you can be racist if you're white and all this stuff. Anyway, so that's, when I get over, I see this tagline, how the female body has been racialized for over 200 years, I'm thinking, oh, you must not be a subscriber to CRT, I guess. So there is an obesity epidemic in this country, and poor black women are particularly stigmatized as diseased, and a burden on the public healthcare system. This is only the most recent incarnation of the fear of fat black women, which Sabrina Strings shows took root more than 200 years ago. So, who's afraid of fat black women? This is the only most recent incarnation of the fear of fat black women. Can somebody, like, if you're watching now, or if you want to put it in the comments, can you name somebody that you're fearful of? That's a fat black woman? I can't think of one. I mean, I've known some big black women, and absolutely been around them. They're women, they're people. Nothing special about them outside of their individuality and their talents and their loves and their passions and all that. They're human beings. I've never been fearful of a fat black woman. And do we know any poor black women that are stigmatized as diseased because they're overweight? Can somebody have an explanation of this? So I go back to, who was it? I forget the name of the hip hop artist now. I had it before I started the show and now it's gone. The guy who said, I like big butts and I can't deny. Well, a big butt is usually accompanied with a larger body, right? So, does he like diseased butts? Is that what we're getting at here? I don't understand this. I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe I'm not seeing it, or maybe I haven't seen it. Because certainly you would see, if this was like some sort of epidemic. Sir Mix-a-Lot. Thank you, Peyton. Sir Mix-a-Lot. Yeah, it was driving me crazy. I kept thinking, Humpty Dump or whatever. But yeah, Sir Mix-a-Lot, that's right. I like big butts and I cannot lie. Sorry, I got off track there. But yeah, she talks about an obesity epidemic, and that poor black women are particularly stigmatized as diseased. You would think this would show up in popular culture or in the news or somewhere if this was something that was really, really happening, if this was something that was just awful. So here's a good example of that. Bullying. Specifically online bullying. It's a real issue. It's absolutely a real issue, and it causes a lot of problems, and gives children low self-esteem, causes them to want to commit suicide. In many cases, it leads to suicide. But we see that. We see it all over the place. We see it in the media. We see it on PBS. We see it in movies, and there's clearly a problem. But I've never heard of specifically a problem where poor black women are being stigmatized as diseased. And I looked for some examples, and I really couldn't find anything outside of some social media posts, which, a couple of bad people, whatever. So Strings weaves together an eye-opening historical narrative ranging from the Renaissance to the current moment, analyzing important works of art, newspaper and magazine articles, and scientific literature and medical journals, where fat bodies were once praised. Past tense. Showing that fat phobia, as it relates to black women, and again, this fat phobia thing, I don't know where this is coming from, but as it relates to black women, did not originate with medical findings, but with the Enlightenment era belief that fatness was evidence of savagery and racial inferiority. What? The author argues that the contemporary ideal of slenderness is at its very core racialized and racist. Haha, so now we get to the meat. The meat is that if you believe that somebody should be slender, doesn't matter for what reasons, right? But if you have it in your mind that somebody would be better off if they were slender or if they weren't fat, that makes you a racist. Indeed, it was not until the early 20th century when racialized attitudes against fatness were already entrenched in the culture that the medical establishment began its crusade against obesity. So what she is implying here is that doctors and scientists apparently are racist. That the modern medical apparatus of the world and all their testing and all of their experience and history and fact finding and and case studies, that all of that is just racist. An important and original work, Fearing the Black Body, argues convincingly that fat phobia isn't about health at all, but rather a means of using the body to validate race, class, and gender prejudice. Interesting. So what this brings me to, what this really brings me to is, I'm a diabetic. Type 2 diabetes. I have type 2 diabetes. I've got to curb my appetite. I'm on medicine. Luckily, I'm not so bad that I've got to do insulin, but I am a diabetic. And my diabetes stems from, one of the many things it stems from was being overweight. There's proof of that. There's lots of proof about it. There's lots of tested theories that point to being overweight as a contributor to diabetes, to becoming diabetic. So what this book is basically saying, that my doctor, who's really good, she's awesome, I love my doctor, when she tells me to lose weight, because she's racist. You should lose weight because, well, I'm racist, and I think the slender ideal is better for white supremacy. I think it's better for whiteness. What? I cannot draw any other conclusions from this. If a black woman who is obese, and however you want to define obese, I know there's multiple ways to do that, but if there's a black woman who is obese, and she goes to a doctor, and that doctor tells her to lose weight, she should turn around and slap him, or her, and call him a racist to his face, or her face. Because that is upholding the ideals of whiteness. Somehow it's holding up the ideals of whiteness. Let's do a little experiment here. Let's take a little journey, if we will, and go look at some trusted sources. I mean, as you know, with this whole COVID thing, you know, we've all kind of put our trust in the CDC, for instance. Not me personally, but you know, a lot of people out there really trust the CDC. So let's go look at the CDC. People who have obesity compared to those with a normal or healthy weight are at increased risk for many serious diseases and health conditions, including the following: all causes of death, mortality, high blood pressure or hypertension, high cholesterol, low cholesterol, or high levels of triglycerides. I'm not going to even try to say that last word there. Type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, stroke, gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, sleep apnea and breathing problems. I know that is a problem for people who are overweight. Many types of cancer, low quality of life, mental illness such as clinical depression, anxiety, or other mental disorders, body pain, and difficult with physical functioning. So, CDC follows the science and says being overweight is going to potentially cause you some problems. Is that racist? Is it racist for me to be concerned about, I don't know, my own health, or my wife's health, my oldest son, my mom? If I'm concerned about my mom's health, if it seems like she's overweight and she's not listening to her doctor about losing weight, I'm concerned, because we know through lots of science, lots of studies, lots of many years of medicine under our belt, that we know that obesity is a link to many problems. So let's take a look at WebMD. I like WebMD because it's kind of like the layman's doctor's site or whatever, but I like it. But they go into a little bit more detail. So obesity is a term that means you have a body mass index, or BMI, of 30 or higher. So some people don't believe in the BMI thing. Some people, you know, again, I said earlier, there's different ways to measure obesity, but BMI is the most accepted. And they mention all the same things that are gives you more likely to have conditions like heart disease and stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes, some cancers, gallbladder disease, and gallstones, osteoarthritis, gout. That sounds like fun. Breathing problems such as sleep apnea and asthma. So not everyone who's obese has these problems. So I love this statement, because this kind of gets back to the, you know, so they're using us here, or this Sarah, what was her name again? Sabrina Strings. Sarah was the person who tweeted this, but Sabrina Strings, you know, she wants you to believe that that fat phobia is some sort of thing. And maybe it is. Maybe there's a small, tiny, itty bitty group of people who hate, you know, or scared of fat people or scared of fatness or something. I'm sure it's out there. There's a niche for everything, right? But the statement here on WebMD, not everyone who's obese has these problems. Right. That's exactly right. I mean, that's just common sense. It makes you more, it gives you, more of a chance to be, get one of these problems, one of these diseases, if you're obese. This is not really in dispute by anybody with half a brain. But it's funny that they use this terminology this way because, a lot of times people on the right got painted as being anti-Muslim because we called out the actions of a few terrorists. Yes, we know not all Muslims are terrorists. Not all terrorists are Muslims. That would be stupid to think that. In the same sense, not everyone who is obese has these problems. This is very true. But it puts you at risk. A higher risk than, say, not being fat, not being obese, not eating healthy. The risk rises if you have a family history of one of these conditions. Agreed. And again, so it's a multiplier, right? So as a diabetic, I know for a fact that my dad had type 2 diabetes as well. But because I was also overweight, not eating right, that increased the chance that I was going to, become diabetic, and I did. Also, where your weight may matter. Oh, also where your weight may matter. If it's mostly around your stomach, the apple shape, that may be riskier than if you have a pear shape, meaning that your extra weight is mostly around your hips and buttocks. So as a man, that doesn't happen a lot because we are biologically different, men and women. I know people are going to tell you that's not the case, but it is the case. We are biologically different, and women tend to get more fatty cells around their hips and their rear end and their thighs and stuff like that, whereas men kind of, we get it up here, we get moobs. I call them moobs, man boobs, and the beer gut and that sort of thing. What they're saying here, and this is based on science, that if you have a pear shape and you're extra weighted around your hips and your rear end and your thighs, you're less at risk than you would be around your midsection, which is why a lot of men die of hypertension, die of heart disease, that sort of thing. Because a lot of men, we get this belly. We get this belly. Too much beer, too much sweets, too much cake, too much meat, right? I'm guilty of all of that, all of the above. I'm at a higher risk. I understand that. Here's a closer look at 7 conditions that are linked to being obese or overweight. Let's dig into these, shall we? Heart disease and stroke. Extra weight means you're more likely to have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Both of those conditions make heart disease or stroke more likely. Here's the racist part of this. The good news is that losing a small amount of weight can reduce your chances of developing heart disease or stroke. Losing even more weight has been shown to lower the risk even more. So what they're telling me here is that if I follow the racist doctors and racist scientists and lose weight, then I have less of a chance of getting a heart disease or stroke or heart attack. I kind of like that. I kind of like that my doctor is racist then, because she's looking out for me, right? Type 2 diabetes. Now this is where I fall in. Most people who have type 2 diabetes are overweight or obese. Guilty as charged. When I was diagnosed with diabetes, I was a little over 300 pounds. I was a big dude. I've lost a lot of weight since then. And gained it back over the pandemic, but I got down to like 240 at one point. So anyway, neither here nor there. I'm not here to talk about my weight, but Most people who have type 2 diabetes are overweight or obese. You can cut your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by losing weight, eating a balanced diet, that's probably racist too, getting adequate sleep, which is probably also racist, and exercising more, which is probably also racist, because everything is racist. I was watching Gothic's live stream today, and I brought up this very topic, and she had not heard of this tweet and what was going on, and she just laughed and she said, "Everything is racist." That's exactly how she did it. Anyways, by the way, if you don't know who Gothix is, she's awesome. Gothix. That's her YouTube. Also her. Actually, I think she's Gothix TV on Twitter. Go check her out. She is awesome. I love her content. But yeah, the way everything is racist. You almost want a rainbow there. Everything is racist. If you have type 2 diabetes, losing weight and becoming more physically active, which is probably racist, can help your blood sugar levels. Becoming more active may also reduce your need for diabetes medication. Right, that's exactly right. And I'm on diabetes medication because I'm still struggling with weight. My doctor wants to get me to the point where I don't need the medication, that I can control everything just with diet and exercise alone. But because I'm still struggling with that weight issue, it makes it a lot harder for me to come off that medication. My doctor is so super racist. It's unbelievable how racist she is. Cancers of the colon, breast after menopause, endometrium, the lining of the uterus, kidney, and esophagus are linked to obesity. Some studies have also reported links between obesity and cancers of the gallbladder, ovaries, and pancreas. That sounds pretty serious. Cancer is huge. It's a lot of times it's a death sentence. Not all the time, but a lot of times it is. But my doctor is going to be racist if she tells me, "Hey, lose weight or you're going to die from cancer, or you have a chance of getting cancer." That's dangerous talk that we should stop our doctors from perpetuating this myth, apparently, because the medical side of being obese is rooted in racism. Gallbladder disease and gallstones are more common if you are overweight. Didn't know this. Ironically, weight loss itself, particularly rapid weight loss or loss of a large amount of weight, can make you more likely to get gallstones. So that's lovely. So you get overweight, you make some poor choices, or maybe you have a health issue that has potentially caused you to become overweight, or you have some sort of illness that you're treating with medication that can also cause some weight gain, and then you rapidly lose that weight. Oh, it sucked because you were fat and you wanted to get rid of that weight, but because you lost it, now you got gallstones. That's awful. That's just totally awful. It's almost as bad as being racist for thinking that overweight is not okay. Ironically, losing weight at a rate of about 1 pound per week is less likely to cause gallstones. And when I was losing weight before, I was losing right around there, maybe 2 pounds a week for a little while there, and so no gallstones. Hallelujah, no gallstones. So what do you think, guys? What do you think? Is my doctor racist? Is your doctor racist? Who here's a little bit overweight, or think they're overweight, or do you want to admit it because you so if you think you're overweight, does that make you a racist? I struggle with this because I think it does. I think it makes you a racist, and that's the culture we live in. Everything is racist. Everything is racist. Everything is racist. Well, guys, that's what I really wanted to talk about today, was that little bit. And what do you think? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, or if you want to chat about it. Peyton, I see you're here. There's a couple of lurkers that aren't talking to me because I don't know why. Maybe they're lurking and working. That's fine. But I bring this up. I brought this up because it. Well, let me just show you why I brought it up. Nailbender's here. So I made the comment. I made the comment on this tweet. So when my doctor tells me I need to lose weight, she's being a white supremacist? And I was kind of question, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of a question, but at the same time I was kind of hoping I'd get a response, from Sarah Kelly. I was kind of hoping I would get some sort of response, because while it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and there was no malice in it, I was just saying, so when my doctor tells me I need to lose weight, she's being a white supremacist? It was a question, and a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it was harmless. At least I thought it was, and then, yeah, she blocked me. Minutes after I tweeted that, she blocked me. And I wonder, I think about this sort of thing when especially because I wasn't mean, I wasn't being a jerk or anything. I said, so when my doctor tells me I need to lose weight, she's being a white supremacist. It was a question. I wasn't attacking her personally or attacking her worldview or anything along those lines. I was just asking. And so it leads me to the thought that well, hold on one second. Sorry about that. I have a child in the background making all sorts of noise, and it was making me a little crazy. But anyways, so yeah, this brings me back to the point, getting blocked like this for asking a question. It to me it highlights, and I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. It's just me talking out loud, me thinking out loud, me kind of processing this. But anytime I see something like this, where again, it's just a question. I'm not attacking anybody. I'm not making fun of anybody or anything like that. To get immediately blocked, you know what that tells me? You know what that tells me is that Sarah Kelly knows she's full of crap. She knows she's full of crap. Because I didn't ask her out of the crazy question or anything, because she was basically insinuating that if you are against obesity, that you're somehow it's somehow rooted in racism and white supremacy. It was her word, not mine. It just tells me that she doesn't believe her own shit. She doesn't believe her own shit. And I think that's true for a lot of people that do this blocking thing. I think they have a lot of emotion about some of these topics. Shannon Watts is a great example. Shannon Watts is a great example of this, because I'm a proud, blockee of Shannon Watts. If you don't know who Shannon Watts is, she's like the anti-gun crusader, every town woman. I can't remember her other organization, but anyway, she's been at war with Dana Lash on Twitter for forever, and yeah, so I wear that as a badge of honor. She blocked me, and it was a very similar situation where I made a comment about guns or something, or question, and it wasn't really anything, and she immediately blocked me, simply because I challenged her worldview in a way that wasn't consistent with the way she saw the world. But that tells me she is full of shit. She doesn't believe, she's not convicted enough to discuss it, to have an honest debate or honest discussion about it. And that, I think, is the problem inherent with Twitter, especially political Twitter, and woke Twitter and all that other stuff, is that people are dishonest with themselves. They come out with a cause or activism or something. Maybe it's BLM, maybe it's I don't know, maybe it's this, maybe it's anti-fatness or whatever. Remember the whole bossy thing, right? If you said that a girl was bossy, that was somehow misogynistic. maybe it's that. Whatever happened to that, by the way? Am I still not allowed to say bossy anymore? Can somebody help me out with that, please? Anybody? Bueller? Can somebody help me out with that? Am I allowed to use the word bossy again? I can't recall. I don't remember getting the memo, so maybe. But again, these people come out of the woodwork and feel all this passion for this stuff, and then when you just lightly challenge them, like in this case, I didn't even really strongly challenge. I could have said, "Oh, show me the research word." Blah, 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 blah. I could have done it that way, but I didn't. I just asked a question. So when my doctor tells me I need to lose weight, she's being a white supremacist, and she's not, and she is so not convicted that she blocked me, and probably blocked a lot of other people who had very similar comments or challenging comments. I don't block people for that very reason, because I want to have. If I'm convicted about something, and I'm convicted enough to where I put it out there for the entire world to see, I'm willing to defend it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. I'm absolutely okay with being wrong. Yeah, Nailbender says insufferable is more appropriate. Yeah, I think that's probably right. But really, they're just not convicted. Full of shit. I think they believe it on a very superficial level, because they only know the talking points, right? They only know what's been spoon-fed them. They only know that stuff. They haven't gone out and done the critical thinking and the thought process behind digging into some of these things. She recommended a book and immediately went off on a tirade about how anti-fat or how did she word it again? How anti-fatness is a perpetuation and enforcement of white supremacist beauty standards. She didn't outline anything for her argument here to say, okay, well, and here's why. She just said that, and so I questioned her and get blocked because she's not convicted. Yeah, you're not tweeting for validation, and that's the thing. I don't tweet for validation. If I wanted validation, I'd go to Facebook and post about my dog who I had to put down a couple weeks ago, or a little over a week ago now. That's where I go get validation for things like that, because you kind of need it when you have to put down your dog. But I tweet or I reply because, or I have an opinion about something, I will put it out there because I'm convicted about it. And if somebody challenges me on it, cool, let's talk about it. I'm totally cool with being challenged. I like it because I want to be challenged. I want to expand my horizon. I want to expand my worldview. I want to understand what makes, Sarah Kelly tick. Why does she believe that anti-fatness is perpetuation of enforcement of white supremacist beauty standards? Why does she believe that? I asked the question, again, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but because I genuinely kind of want to know. And the fact that she just said, shut the door on that, tells me she wasn't convicted in the first place. So, they're not bossy. They're just miserable. So that was what Nailbender said. I didn't say that because I'm not convicted. Nailbender's convicted. Peyton, thank you. You're not tweeting for validation. That's correct. And I'm not, and that's it. To be perfectly honest, this content creation stuff, and by the way, I'm going to throw this up again, the Creator's Toolkit, in case you're watching the replay and you don't know anything about this, go check them out. I'm not going to say any more than that, just there's my call to action. But I'm so convicted that I'm out here creating content that a lot of people are not going to like. There's a lot of people that are going to, hear this content that I'm putting out and go, this guy's a blowhard. I don't like this guy. I don't care. I don't care. And if you don't like the content, don't listen to it. If you like the content, come listen to it. If you want to have a differing opinion, bring it. Bring it into the chat. Oh, while I've got you guys here, I'm going to test this out real quick. Oh, and I'm frozen again. Yay! Oh, shoot, it didn't work. I'm going to test something real quick. Save that. Somebody type something in the chat here. I'll do it. Hi, guys. I want to see if this chat feature is working. Yeah, well, it's working for me. Is it working for any of you guys? Something I'm tinkering with. I'm tinkering with this. I wanted to see if I could get the chat on the screen instead of having to click every single little one that I want to show on the screen. Anyways, neither here nor there. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about all of this. If you're going to go out there and you're going to talk about anti-fatness, you're going to talk about BLM. Thanks, Peyton. If you're going to talk about any of these social issues, any political issues or whatever, and you come out and you're vague and you're not giving a lot of details about your opinion, or any like a reasoning as to why you believe a certain way, and then somebody questions you and you immediately shut them down, you may need to reevaluate what you really think, because you're obviously not very convicted, or you just haven't taken the time to go and learn about what you're supposed to be convicted on. Just a thought. I don't know that it's I don't think that's the case for everybody, but I think it's a generally accurate statement. So, guys, thank you so much for coming. I am going to bust out of here. I'm going to take off. Again, if you want to subscribe, please do. I want to get to that magic 100 so I can maybe get a little monetization. Hit that bell, because I'm going to be going live with interviews at some point. Again, I'm working on getting some people on interviews. I'm also going to be doing some panel discussions, working through that. And I'm also going to be offering on the days that I don't stream, this is coming soon, I'm going to be doing short little videos about a specific tweet. So I'm working on how that's going to work, what that's going to look like. So be on the lookout for that, and a good reason why you would want to subscribe, so you know when I post a brand new video, and it's not necessarily a live stream. And I also have a podcast on Fridays that I release every Friday. It's also Beyond 280. You can find it you can find it on any of your favorite podcasting software. It's Beyond-280. And as always, if you like the content and you don't freeze up like I just did, then then you can always buy me a coffee. I just recently purchased a capture card that is going to fix this freezing issue. So, doing all this fun stuff, and I enjoy the heck out of this. It does cost a little bit of money, so it'd be awesome if if y'all wanted to support me by just buying me a coffee, throw me a bone here, right? Yeah, so that's really all I have to talk about today. Thank you all for coming. Oh, by the way, I didn't get to use my bullshit unicorn because I didn't know how to fit, how to fit her or him. It's a her. Yeah, it's a her. So my bullshit unicorn, whenever I detect bullshit, I normally pop her up. But this whole thing was bullshit. This whole, concept of anti-fatness is white supremacy was bullshit. So I guess I didn't really need to put it up there the entire time. It would have been very distracting. So anyways, guys, thank you all for coming. I will see you on Wednesday. Pardon me. And don't forget that podcast on Friday. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.